Welcome to Being at Home with George. I'm excited to be here. And today I'd like to talk about this possibility of being able to embrace whatever's happening or saying yes to whatever happens. And I usually talk about just embracing it, saying yes to it, and at the same time generating hope, generating this idea that there's a solution, there's a way out. And so today I'd like to talk about this idea of let it begin with me. There's a quote here I'd like to read from Emerson. He says, "Man surrounds himself with the true image of himself, ... What we are, that only can we see." And so that's a fancy way of saying we meet what we mirror, and that which game are we playing? Are we focusing our attention on the inner game or the outer game? And so I want to talk about this because in past episodes I talked about the Gandhi Equation. Beliefs become our thoughts become our words become our actions become our habits become our values become our destiny. And so this idea is that it has to begin with ourselves. It's oneself that has to be changed. And so we need this self-awareness, or what I would call this uncritical observation of our reactions to life, or uncritical observation of our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs. And so keeping the Gandhi quote in mind, if our beliefs become our thoughts, then that's where we can start. So a lot of times we have thoughts and we don't know where they come from. And so we have the opportunity on reflection to say, okay, if I'm thinking this way, then what would the belief have been, or what view was I observing that experience, or what thinking was I engaged in when I got to that situation? And so for me, it's really that simple, is the self-awareness, the uncritically thinking or seeing myself, especially dealing with familiarity breeds contempt. So when we deal with our work, people that we're engaged with every day, especially our family and friends, we have this way of being on automatic pilot. And we may think that we're being kind, but in actuality, if we look at our thoughts and our feelings, or even the action, the tone, the tonality of what we're saying, because 93% of communication is nonverbal, then we can start to see, oh, wow, that wasn't as kind as I thought it was. But we have to reflect on it, and we have to think about what it is we're doing, and how can we get to a place where we're not reacting to things, but we're responding to things. And then that way, we're being clear about how we are being. If we want to be loving, or we want to be compassionate, we want to be helpful, then we need to look at that. So where am I going with this? Well, there's a saying that we don't go to heaven, we grow to heaven. So if heaven is here on earth, then that's something that we can control if we can just have an uncritical observation of what are the thoughts, what are the feelings, what's the belief system that we have to have that allows us to see things clearly and to behave in the way that we say we want to behave. And I've talked about this over many, many different times, but I can tell you from my experience just coming on this trip. I'm in California. So I arrive here. First of all, I'm on this Mint flight. And the Mint flight, you get your own little special compartment and the door closes. And so you have some privacy and you can work. Well, the seat that I was in, that I paid extra money for, the door didn't work. And so in the past, I would have reacted to it. But when I noticed it didn't work, there was this idea of, okay, it doesn't work, and I'm okay. So my self-awareness was this idea of my belief system was, whatever is happening, and I don't have any control over that. And my choice is to embrace it and to choose in that space between stimulus and response, to choose to respond to it. So my response was, oh, that's interesting. It's not working. It's okay. And just go from there. In the past, I would have got upset and said, I paid for this, it didn't work. And I'd be trying to jiggle it, trying to make it work, trying to force solutions and becoming irritable and unreasonable without knowing it. But I didn't do that. I was able to see it and say, okay, it's what it is, and then just let it go and keep it moving. So my belief system was, it's okay, whatever's happening is happening, and it's not a problem. And so we go from there, and then I get off the plane, and then I go to get my rental car, and it says go to the 5-star section of the rental, and I go there, and there's no cars in the 5-star section. So I said, oh, that's interesting. And then I saw a person coming by, and I said, hey, there's no cars there. She said, are you a gold member? Yeah, just go down to the president's circle. So I go down to the president's circle, and I go down there, and once again, I have this open-mindedness. I can get any vehicle I want, and I see this big white Chrysler 300. And I said, well, that's too big. I don't want that. And I'm looking around, and I don't know which car to choose. And then one of the attendants are backing in one of the cars that's been serviced. And I said, hey, what's a good car? And he says, this car. So I get into that car, and everything's great. XM radio works. Sometimes I get a car, and they say it'll work, and it never works. So I get there. I go to the hotel, and I go in, and I'm supposed to have a suite, and they put me in a single room, so I had to deal with that. So all through this, all of these things are happening in one day. And then the icing on the cake is, so I get a room, and then I pull this hybrid into the space, and I wanted to back it up a little bit, and I couldn't get it in reverse. And so I said, oh, that's interesting. But there was thoughts in my mind. I could hear them saying, they gave me a car that doesn't work. I'm taking this back to church. They got the nerve to give me a car that doesn't work. And I'm listening to this, but I'm uncritically observing it, just noticing the thoughts. And then I said, okay, so let me get the owner's manual. So I got the owner's manual, and I go into the hotel room, and I look at it, and it talks about, okay, this is how you do it. I said, I don't have to drive that day. So the next day I get into the vehicle, and I had done my research, and I talked to people about it. And then I noticed that there was another button. It was an arrow pointing down. So instead of pushing down, you have to push this way. You have to push in this way. And I pushed in, and it lit up, and I was able to back out. So this is my daily experience, that no matter what I'm doing or where I'm at, there's these things that are unforeseen, and I have a choice between reacting to something and responding to something. Because I've been training myself with this ability to be uncritically aware of my reactions or my thoughts, my feelings, and my beliefs, the filter from which I am observing things. And I've talked about it a lot. If I have on the fear glasses, then I'm reacting, and I'm complaining, and I'm blaming. Complaining and blaming and denying that I have any role in this. And when I have on the love glasses, when I have on this idea, this ability to be in growth mode, to be in love, and say, okay, what is this? Something is happening, and can I create space between stimulus and response, and look at it and say, what's going on with my response and my reaction? And it's always about this idea that I have this masterpiece, I have this ability, I've been wired to succeed, and I just have to pause and create space not to react, and ask myself, okay, what's the best approach here? But because I got on the love glasses, I got on this idea that this belief system that I have a masterpiece inside of me, and if I can be still and know, if I can slow down, if I could just think about what's happening and letting the situation speak to me in its own language, then I can make wise choices. And so that's the training. And so there's times when I don't do it. On a good day, I can do it, but a lot of times I'm reacting, and then I'm dealing with the fallout. But as it was stated in the quote, I meet what I mirror. So if I am being love, or am being calm, then the situation is going to be calm, and there's going to be space for me to create or to be myself. And so that was one day that I was going through it. There's a multiplicity of opportunities for me to just say, whatever comes up, I can say yes to it, embrace it, generate the hope, and ask the question, what is this? How can I relate to it? If I am reacting from out of character, that's okay. I can redo it. And that's what it's about. It's about this idea of everything begins with the self, but that what I am is what I see. So it's a mirror thing. So I meet what I mirror. So if I don't like what's out here, I need to go inside for my self-awareness and self-regulate my thoughts. Because if I observe it, my thoughts generate certain feelings. So my thoughts were, okay, there's a solution here. Let's see what's happening. So my thoughts were in alignment with that. My words were in alignment with that. My feelings were in alignment with, okay, this sense of mystery, this sense of, oh, there's something here to learn. And as a result, it was no harm, no foul. I got the room the next day, and all's good.